Well, welcome back to the Owatonna Coaches Show. My name is Mark Argis. I'm the Youth First Director here in Owatonna, and I got the privilege to be here at Spare Time Entertainment today with Gary Staats. And Gary's an instrumental figure in the history of high school bowling. We're really excited from a Youth First perspective to be working with the high school bowling program here in Owatonna. And we'll be talking to the coaches and one of the players here in a little bit, but we thought we'd start out with Gary. And we want to thank our bowling sponsors, Spare Time Entertainment, of course, the home lanes here for the Huskies, Insty Prints, Event Exposure, who is our Youth First media partner, Michelson Funeral Home, Community Bank Owatonna, and Oldenburg Photography, all for their help in sponsoring the bowling program. And we're looking forward to seeing their home meet here on Saturday the 26th, coming up from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock here, right here at Spare Time. So, Gary, thanks for taking a little time today.
Good, Mark.
And we appreciate your time. And you were just telling me a minute ago that you're originally not from Owatonna. When did you move to Owatonna?
I moved to Owatonna from Mankato in 1971. I actually went to work for Federated Insurance as a commercial fire and casualty underwriter. But the bowling was always my love, and I came to Owatonna because my wife and I knew it was a good community. So basically, we raised our family of 4 girls here in Owatonna.
Okay.
So it's been a pleasant experience. I guess after 7 years, I decided that needed to be in bowling. In fact, the last year I was at Federated, I did both. I owned both Fair Lanes, which was down the street here, and also worked at Federated. So it was a long year, but again, getting to something I wanted to do and have always loved. Yeah.
And I didn't realize until recently, as we got involved with the bowling program, how deep the history of bowling is in Owatonna. In fact, you were instrumental in these kids even having an opportunity to bowl as a high school team.
Right. Well, since being involved with the bowling lanes, several different programs have started, but my dear compassion is for high school bowling, as we call it.
Sure.
And I actually started that back in 1983. And so this is the 30th year of this program. And the program has increased in numbers statewide.
Yeah.
Last year there was close to 2,000 kids participating.
Yeah,
in
so
this.
we're not talking about just high school bowling in Owatonna. We're talking about high school bowling in the state of Minnesota. Started right here with you in Owatonna.
Right, and that first year to get the thing off the ground, we only had 6 teams, and then it went statewide after that first year with a state tournament and all that kind of thing. All the things that any other sport would have, you know. And the one thing about the way we run the program, which I started and still being run that way, is that you don't sit on the bench like many players do,
Sure.
And then it gets to be a skill thing. And you don't have to be the fastest kid in school or the tallest or the biggest or whatever. And you can bowl and learn, and that's what the coaches have done over the years, of which I was fortunate enough to help a lot of kids make their bowling game better. And some of the best bowlers in the state now came out of our junior program and high school bowling way back in the 1980s.
Yeah, and as I understand it, there's still a lot of professional bowlers or guys that bowl for money from Owatonna today.
Oh yeah.
Quite a number of them, I understand.
Yeah, we have there's a couple of teams that are tournament teams. They just are going all the time to bowl in tournaments around the state, and they're very highly regarded. And they even bowl nationally. We have a fellow probably about 7 or 8 years ago, Dan Bach, that won the high rollers thing in Las Vegas. He made $75,000.
No kidding. Wow.
And so this is where it starts. I mean, you got to get the kids involved.
Sure. And what's cool about it, bowling is one of those sports where you can do it your whole life, too.
Right.
It's not just a
lifetime
do it in high school
sport,
thing. Right. Sure.
That and golf. Some sports you can only do while you're young,
Right.
or go on to college. But what do you do after that? But this is something you learn the game right, and it's going to be with you a long time.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing that's kind of near and dear to your heart, and I know Curtis has certainly carried over here to the management now at Spare Time, is to see bowling become one of those sports that you can letter in. And I know you've been working, we were just talking about, you've approached the state several times about trying to get bowling is it a high school league sanctioned activity? Is that what we're trying to do?
Well, we're trying to do that in the final analysis, and we came so close before the assembly of delegates at the state level. We came within 5 votes one time and 7 votes another time of making it a co-ed lettered sport through the schools. Not that all schools would have to participate, but they'd have the opportunity to and be recognized, at the state level. But we didn't get there, and now we're trying to kind of come in through the back door as a club activity, which a lot of things are that kids can get a letter. That letter is a big thing for kids nowadays, know. Yeah. And so still pursuing that now.
Yeah, okay. Well, and maybe we can help with that part of it. Part of it is to help people, figure out, just to raise the awareness and how many kids there's a lot of kids involved in, like you say, all ages and different skill levels. And I was looking at one of the things that the Minnesota High School Bowling Association put out. It looks like this year is 128 varsity teams and 83 different schools now that recognize bowling as a student or club activity, that's a lot of schools.
Apparently that changes on a weekly basis, I guess, depending on when they get a chance to talk to the school board or the athletic director or whatever. Because the last time I heard it was 63. Well, here you picked up another 20, so that's a pretty good percentage of people that or towns that are able to letter the activity as a club sport.
Right, and you mentioned too that that's a lot of kids when you're looking at and I noticed in our program that we're coming up on Saturday, there's not only the varsity teams but JV teams participating too. And there's over 100 junior varsity teams they're saying in the league right now too. Right. So that, like you said, it's almost 2,000 kids.
Yeah, JV started about 5 years ago, and in fact, Owatonna won the state JV tournament 3 years in a row, and that's almost unheard of. I was happy to say that my grandson was a part of that,
cool.
Jordan Von Ruden, and so we produced some good bowlers out of this town.
Yeah, that's great. So I know on a couple of the other things, just in the history of all of this, the team, I didn't realize that you mentioned it's a co-ed sport, so it's a mix of boys and girls on the varsity level.
We've got some girls that are just as good as some of the guys, and that goes way back to my 4 daughters. They were all involved with the teams over the years, and they'd all been all conference at one time or another, and so again, producing some good teams. In fact, we went to the state tournament 9 years in a row out of our district, and teams didn't like to bowl us, but we allowed the kids to practice every day. And a lot of cities, they're not able to do that, and that's all donated lineage by the house, And the more you bowl and the more you get supervised training, the better you're going to be.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Just like any other skill or activity, I would imagine. Right. The other thing I thought was really interesting was it's not about like one bowler on your team, is really good and they have a really high game. I mean, they alternate frames as a team, so you've got 5 or 6 kids that are literally working together every other frame that they bowl to add up to their total score, right?
And it was designed that way to truly be a team sport, where everybody contributes to the team, and you make substitutions along the way. For any given match, you have 8 bowlers on your team, and you can use any of those 8 bowlers at any time, except that if you start a frame, you have to finish the frame, but you can be substituted for the next time you bowl. So first bowler bowls the first frame, second bowler bowls the second frame, and so on down the line. Yeah, when you get down to your anchor man, of course, in the 10th frame, he would have an opportunity to bowl 3 times if he would strike out in the 10th. And it's happened, many times. But it's very exciting, and we have a nucleus of people that go from town to town, wherever the home matches are, and watch the kids, and that's good parent support.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to come out on Saturday. So what do you see as what's your hope for the future here of high school bowling, then, being one of the founding fathers, if you will?
Well, the hope, again, is to have it lettered on a statewide basis through the Minnesota State High School League. But just to be able to get a letter, if that's through the school board or whatever, that would be a goal for Owatonna, because it seems strange that we originated it here and still we're not one of the 83. So we're going to be working to that effect.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time today, and it's really nice to meet you and kind of put a face on where this all started years ago. And we'll look forward to meeting the current coaches and some of the kids now, and maybe that letter thing will come about.
Great. Thank you
Awesome.
for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Gary.